Imagine an AI agent that doesn't just write code, but actively learns from its mistakes and upgrades itself, completely on its own. It sounds a bit like sci-fi, right? Well, in this explainer, we're doing a deep dive into a major breakthrough called Prime Agent. It's an open-source AI coding agent built by Prime Intellect, and it acts way more like a full-on, self-improving research assistant than just another standard coding tool.
Okay, let's dive into this, because the benchmark score here is absolutely staggering. 95.5%. That is what Prime Agent achieved on a notoriously brutal AI benchmark known as ARC-AGI-3. To put that into perspective, this doesn't just edge out other models, it actually beats the reported human expert baseline. No joke. When an AI starts outperforming human experts in complex general intelligence reasoning tasks, you know we're looking at a massive leap forward.
And trust me, the developer community is absolutely noticing. Prime Agent launched on August 5th, 2026, and the idea spread like wildfire. In just a matter of days, the GitHub repository exploded, crossing 11,000 stars. They've already pushed out over 40 releases. So this isn't some small side project or a theoretical white paper. This is a highly active, rapidly adopted tool that engineers are just eagerly getting their hands on right now.
Now, behind this rapid adoption is some serious financial muscle. Prime Intellect raised a massive $130 million Series A round just a month prior to launch, in July 2026. This brings their total funding to over $150 million. And look at who's backing them. We're talking industry giants like NVIDIA Ventures and Intel Capital. This level of investment really proves that this is a heavyweight project with the resources to fundamentally disrupt how we build AI.
So, let's move into Section 1, the core architecture. Now, what's really interesting about this is the timeline. To understand how they're pulling this off, we have to look back to October 2025. The foundational concept behind Prime Agent is called a Recursive Language Model, or RLM, which was originally proposed by a researcher named Alex Zhang. It first popped up in a blog post and then got formalized in an academic paper. In less than a year, Prime Intellect took that purely academic, theoretical concept, secured that massive funding in July, and turned it into a production-ready tool by August 2026. That speed is just incredible.
Let's break down exactly what that RLM concept is, because it's literally the engine of the whole system. A recursive language model fundamentally changes how the AI interacts with its environment. Instead of treating your prompt as a static request, like a search query, it treats context like a variable and tools as function calls. Think of it less like a search engine returning an answer and more like giving the AI its very own live workshop where it actively computes and interacts inside a persistent Python environment. It isn't just generating text, it's doing actual work in a real workspace.
Which brings us to Section 2, Safe Self-Improvement. The real magic of Prime Agent is how it evolves over time without, breaking itself. If you look at standard AI coding assistants today, they're basically amnesiacs. They're limited to a single session. Once you close the chat, boom, it forgets everything you just did. Prime Agent solves this with something called the Continual harness. This is a persistent memory system. It actively stores the prompts, the memories of past interactions, and the coding skills it's acquired, and it just keeps refining them. It physically carries its learnings forward from one session to the next, getting smarter and way more attuned to your specific workflow over time.
And the mechanism it uses to do this is incredibly clever. It's a command simply called /refine. When this runs, the agent literally reviews its own past performance. It looks at what worked, what totally failed, and then, if needed, it autonomously applies small, evidence-based updates to its own memory and instructions. Basically, it's evaluating itself and rewriting its own operational guidelines to be better the next time around. Now, I know what you might be thinking. An AI rewriting its own code sounds a bit risky, right? So the crucial point is this: the agent never touches its base system prompt. This acts as a strict, immutable safety guardrail. The core safety layer and fundamental instructions always stay protected. And because every single memory update is recorded as a snapshot, if the AI happens to learn a bad habit or go down a weird rabbit hole, you can just easily roll it back to a previous stable state. Oh, and because it's designed to be a continuous worker, Prime Agent features background daemon persistence. If you've ever accidentally closed your terminal window and lost an hour of AI context, literally the worst feeling, you'll love this. The session just keeps running in the background as a daemon. You can close your laptop, go grab a coffee, come back, open a new terminal, and seamlessly reattach to the exact session the agent is still working on. It's a real game changer. Next up, Section 3, Subagent Swarms and Teamwork. And this brilliantly illustrates how Prime Agent scales. An agent working alone is powerful, for sure, but Prime Agent is designed to be a manager. It doesn't have to tackle complex problems sequentially. It can autonomously spawn its own independent subagents to work on different parts of a problem in parallel, or just in the background. These subagents send their results back to the main agent. Even crazier, they communicate directly with each other, agent to agent, completely without a human in the loop. For long, multi-turn tasks, like deep research or code-based evaluations, they're driven by defined goals, system heartbeats, and schedules, to ensure progress keeps moving forward without stalling out.
All right, moving to Section 4, running Prime Agents locally.
Now, this all sounds a bit like science fiction, but it's actually available to use right now, and getting started is shockingly simple. If you're on a Mac or a Linux environment, it only requires one single terminal command. Just a standard curl install command fetches the package and sets up the whole environment for you.
So let's walk through that setup flow and see how this builds out into your workspace. It's essentially just a 3-step process. Step 1, you run that curl command. Step 2, you navigate into whatever project folder you want the AI to work on and simply type Prime Agent in the terminal. Finally, Step 3, you authenticate and set up your account by typing /login. Literally, in less than 2 minutes, you have a self-improving AI research assistant active right there in your codebase.
However, we do need to pause here for a really critical security warning. Prime Agent is powerful specifically because it interacts with your actual environment. It runs commands with your system permissions. This is not some isolated sandbox. If you tell it to delete files, it will actually delete files. Therefore, it's highly recommended that you only use this in trusted repositories and in a clean, backed-up environment while you're still learning how it behaves.
But honestly, the wildest part of this whole shebang, this incredibly powerful tool, backed by over $150 million in venture capital and capable of beating human experts on reasoning benchmarks, is entirely free. It is fully open source under the highly permissive MIT license. Any developer out there can use it, modify it, and contribute to its codebase right now. We are looking at a tool that genuinely gives us a glimpse into the future of software development, and it leaves us with a massive question to ponder. If an AI coding agent can now autonomously spawn its own teams of subagents, mathematically review its own performance, and literally rewrite its own memory to be better tomorrow than it was today, what does the role of a human developer actually look like in 5 years? Thank you for joining me for this deep dive. I hope it gave you a clear, structured look into this breakthrough, and I'll catch you next time.